invite our third speaker, Dr. Tianlong Chen, and he's our new hire in computer science, and it's good to have you here.
Thanks.
And actually, he technically he just delayed 1 year and doing the postdoc at Harvard, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Tianlong is another rising star in machine learning. If you're looking for the machine learning solution, he's the one. Okay? I just checked your website. He has 6 ICM papers this year. We barely can make one every year. He has 6. All right. So today he's going to talk about the iron foundation models.
Thanks. Thanks for that kind introduction. So I'm Tianlong Chen. So actually, my PhD work is more on the computer vision and machine learning. And start from last year, I transit a little bit to the basic computational biology from the multi-omics perspective. So today I carefully mixed title. I would introduce a preliminary investigation for the iron foundation model because it's too ambitious to claim we already did that. So just some insight, hope to share. And I will skip the introduction. So my undergrad is applied math, and then I go to the PhD for computer science and machine learning, etc. And I did a 1 year postdoc in the biology. So my lab is a 2-part. One part is working on the machine learning. Another part is bridge AI to the healthcare problem and basic computational biology problem. So I will start from the existing work of what's the current field in the iron foundation model. So there is a bit of famous papers in this domain. Just comes out within 1 year. So Informer, AC-GPT, and C Foundations, they just published in the Nature and Nature Method. So you can see that why they claim the foundation model. Basically, they inherit the terminologies from NLP perspective, and they also inherit a lot of other things. For example, for the Informer paper, they utilize 6 layers transformer and trained on 30 million multi-omics data set and fine-tune it on diverse downstream applications to enable the prediction. So it's very classical pipelines in the NLP. Later on, AC-GPT utilize a new architecture. Basically, they switch from encoder-decoder based architecture to decoder-only based architecture. So first one, they will use mask language modeling to do the prediction. And the next one, AC-GPT, will do the next token prediction to auto-regressively generate the response in the prediction stage. So I think the most interesting downstream applications they did is gene perturbation predictions in the downstream application. So and a more recent work is called CLPIM, although currently it's only accepted in the machine learning conference, but it introduced a new opportunity to bridge sequential data like multi-omics together with spatial omics, the image data. Basically, they introduce some special positional embeddings which can be integrated in the token level in the input domain space and enable a spatial omics guided prediction. However, although it is a new field, just comes out within 1 year, and most of current research, most of them directly inherent advance from the NLP, from the natural language processing. However, it could lead to some problems. So we can think about different domains have their own properties. For example, in the NLP, people will take a very careful design for the position embedding because the position information is very important. I love Apple, Apple love me. They are 2 totally different meanings. However, in the multi-omics, we measure the gene expressions, and each column their positions maybe not important during the modeling. So we do not want the positional encodings in the iron expression foundation model design. So this is a couple of issues if we directly borrow techniques from the AI, from the NLP. How should we do that? And I think the answer is straightforward. We need to design some biology priors, make the prior aware of the learning in the AI model design. However, how to do that, it is the key problem. Okay, so next we will introduce our prior investigations in this direction, how to incorporate biology priors into the architecture design and AI foundation model design. So first one, we think like the biology behavior process is not functional with each individual genes. Actually, enables underlying biology behaviors according to a group of genes, which means like a pathway. And we hope to design some latent embedded learning which can capture the group information of input individual genes. So what we did here, basically, rather than directly utilizing the token encoder to encode each separate genes, we will first transform into raw embeddings per token. Then we will learning a pathway embedding codebook. So each codebook in this dictionary will map into a group of genes which will respond most actively according to the respect to the final prediction. So the first stage we'll do the reconstruction. Basically, we hope we can use the latent learned pathway embeddings to reconstruct the raw RNA-seq matrix. And by utilizing the first designs in the later predictions or later fine-tuning stage, we will replace each individual genes with its most associated pathway embeddings from the latent space and enables further training. So this is the first design. We try to use a group of genes information to guide this modeling. So and there is another ongoing works in our group, but I didn't show here due to the limited time range. So in that work, we try to modeling the gene regulator mechanisms. Basically, we will build the gene regulator networks based on the RNA-seq and attack-seq. Then we will encode the topology of regularization informations into the modeling. So this is another way to incorporate priors. So the second designs in our work is the permutation invariant tokenization. As I mentioned in the multi-omics, especially for the RNA-seq modeling, the position of each column of each genes may be less important to models underlying behavior. So in this case, we want to remove the position sensitive information in the previous NLP transformers, NLP modeling. So what did we do? I list a brief description of the algorithm. It's a little bit messy, but no worries. I will go through it quickly one by one with some summarization. So basically, first we will scaling up the dimension because it is only a scalar for each gene's expression measurement. In order to make it have a better expressive power, we need to use some NLP fully connected layers to scaling up the dimension. Hope it can capture the underlying knowledge. So after that, we will do some residual learning to keep the initial values from the input expression. Basically, it's a similar idea about ResNet, etc. Later on, we will learn some gene-specific embedding. We hope to capture the gene-specific information and discharge the positional information. And in the end, we will perform the weighted proving. Honestly speaking, if it is a perfect average proving, every genes have the same coefficient, then it's perfectly a permutation invariant. However, the performance tells us we still need a little bit weighted across different genes. So it will also sacrifice a little bit in the permutation invariance. And the last things we design is try to make the cell embeddings we produce have a better discriminative power. So how to do that? We leverage the contrast learning design. Basically, we will push away the token embeddings from different cell type and pull together for the cell token embedding, say from the same cell type. And so this kind of cell type annotation will be refreshed with certain iterations, training iterations, and it was determined by some clustering method with intermediate latent embeddings. Okay, after introduce the technology, let me show you some results in different applications. So now we actually did like 45 applications, but due to the limited space, I will only put like 4 applications here and briefly mention the last application like verbally. So first one is very classical, like unsupervised cell type annotation. Yeah, I know like most of you maybe not very excited about that, but I will show you more like in the later slides. So in the traditional like cell type, so unsupervised cell type annotation, we compare with like direct with low dimensional reduction PCA and also Gene-formers and ACGPTs, which is published like in the previous journal. So we can see that we can receive a better like scores in terms of the annotation. So later on, we testify it on the cancer drug response prediction. Basically, we will calculate the correlations of all predicted value and the ground truth. And for sure, we can achieve consistently better performance compared to the previous existing foundation models, which directly inherit all the advances from NLP. So the next one, we do some various detection. Basically, we will like pass through the health people's like expression and the expressions from different variants. And we will pass through the RNA foundation models we developed in the previous slides. And we will extract its embedding to training a multi-class classification. And we will have an extra class to identify some unknown variants. So we like I put some preliminary results here. So for the like latent embedding UMAP, you can see the distinguishable of 2 group of embeddings. So last thing is the work I did in the MIT. So basically, the MIT group I have my postdoc at, basically they mainly create the multi-omics data for the aging problem. So they have like 400 patients with detailed diverse measurement and try to predict the global AD pathology. And the data is online in the early this year. So if anyone interested in it, we can like discuss and you can play with it, have fun. So such kind of data actually can enable a lot of research, like multi-modality learning, how to integrate such kind of different measurement to predict the global AD pathology. And it can also like enable some multitask learning. We can predict the like a global AD pathology or some like genotypes in the data sheet. So what we do is utilizing the multi-omics, utilizing the expression data to predict the AD pathology. So we compare with a newly published paper in the Nature Aging. They performed like lasso-based method and a group lasso-based method for the prediction with around 40 patients. And if we would directly adopt the method to 400 patients, due to the diversity of the patient data we collect, the performance can be very poor. So however, if we leverage the embeddings learned like from large corpus of multi-omics data and utilize the embedding to perform further group lasso analysis, it can like achieve even better performance compared to the previous study on 40 patients. Okay, so in the next few slides, I will introduce a little bit about the potential of this like domain of the RNA foundation models. So actually, it can be much more broad beyond the 4 applications I just mentioned, because such kind lot of like existing works show us the foundation model architecture or transformer-based architecture is very flexible to extend to multi-modality input and incorporate additional informations to guide some novel scientific discovery. So for example, like we have like a few ongoing works to incorporate attack-seq expression and also incorporate the protein sequence, proteomics into the like full modeling. And we also there is like one or two ongoing works try to do the protein sequence design, like try and respect to the expression level of the proteins in the end. And there is another key part I want to mention is knowledge graph. So knowledge graph research have been like decades. A lot of people devote their efforts to like for the related research. And foundation model also offer an opportunity to incorporate external information like some textual guidance and knowledge graph supervisions into the input domain and guide us reasoning, guide us modeling. And I can share much more like about these directions if you are interested offline. Okay, thank you. I think it's 45 minutes. 50 minutes. Yeah.